Okay. Hi, Mark and Beth. Did you talk to John, your sponsor, and find out why exactly I'm here today visiting you and your family? No? Okay, well, I'll back up and fill you in. So, John is a member of the Teamsters Union. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the unions like federal employees, Teamsters, firefighters, police officers, but I'm sure you've heard they have some of the best benefits around. Well, AIL is actually the unionized company that provides these benefits to all the major unions. Now, because John was a member in good standing, he was able to extend a no-cost benefit package to those closest to him, his friends and family that are going to be there to help out when something happens. Do you know the difference between your temporary and permanent benefits? Well, we all have good benefits through work, but typically when you quit, leave, or retire from your job, the bulk of your benefits are either greatly reduced or they disappear. Now, now your brother John has actually done a really great thing for you guys. If you qualify today, you will now have permanent benefits that will follow you for the rest of your life. So make sure to thank him. Now, there is a letter here that they sent to all the union members, and I'm going to go ahead and read that to you. But basically what it says in the letter is I'm here for three main reasons. One is to inform you about the food banks. Two, to deliver and go through your no-cost benefit package that he pre-qualified you for. And then the third, to help you enroll in any of the permanent benefits that they have set up for union members and their family. So I'm going to go through the no-cost stuff. So I'm going to go through the food bank, blah, 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 all the stuff, child safety kits. Now, the last thing that they actually set up for members and their families is they set aside 5 no-cost benefit packages to go to your friends and family who are going to be there to help out when something happens, okay? You said you have a brother in an area, friend, sister, cousin down the hall? Perfect. Do you guys text? Awesome. I'm going to send you a text. You can go ahead and forward that to all the contacts there. That way they have a heads up. They have my information. I don't want to call anyone unexpectedly. Actually, you said your brother's in the area. Let's go ahead and give them a call. Booked from the home. Fantastic. Okay, now since you didn't find out exactly what John's done for you guys, let me back up and fill you in. So like it says in the letter, there is a permanent plan that they've set up for members, okay? In fact, this is a labor advisory board. It consists of 54 labor leaders and associations, and they're very important because what they do is help advise and make recommendations on the gaps in people's coverage and the benefits people need, okay? Now they do have us read this letter to the union, so I'm going to go ahead and read that to you now. So I'm going to pull up the union letter. I'm going to read it. Each paragraph I'm going to paraphrase what the union letter says. At the very end, I emphasize that should they take advantage of the benefits while I'm here in the home, there are forms that need to be filled out today and in person and can't be done later over the phone. I make sure to emphasize that at the end, and if they have any questions, they can stop me. You see, that's why they were chosen to do these programs, because they know typically 31 days after you quit, leave, or retire from your job, the bulk of your benefits do disappear. Okay. In fact, they don't just work with the Teamsters union, with your brother's union. Okay. They actually work with over 40,000 different unions, have an A+ rating, have over 5 million members enrolled. So they must be doing something pretty nice, or pretty well, pretty good, huh? Now, just because your brother John extended the benefits to you doesn't mean you're automatically allowed to enroll. You do have to qualify, and if you're too high risk, they can't let you in. So they have me ask you a couple quick questions to see what you might qualify for. Are you a smoker? Any DUIs? Any major health concerns? Now, based on what you've told me, I'm not sure if you do qualify yet, but you at least have a chance. So I'm going to go ahead and at least explain the benefits to you. Now, the needs analysis portion is based off of 3 things: your family income, your family situation, and benefits you already have. Okay, so they have me ask you a couple quick questions just to see what you might qualify for. Now, have you ever heard of Hour Power? No? Well, Hour Power is an old union principle that says families should set aside their first 2 hours of their wage to protect themselves and provide for their family's future. Now, 2 hours of your income is roughly 1/20th. It's never meant to change anybody's lifestyle. It's never going to hurt you, right? Now, most financial planners will say 10 to 15%, but your program is only based off of 2 hours. 2 hours, that way all members can afford it. Okay. Now, provided that you do qualify, the union lets you set aside anywhere from $20 to $100 per week, because everyone has different family situations and differently hourly wages. What I'm obligated to do is show you what setting aside your 2 hours will do and what kind of protection that will provide. Afterwards, when I'm done, I will ask you to fill out a report card that'll go back to the union to let them know I was here and I did my job. Is that fair? Cool. What do you make an hour? What do you make an hour? Awesome. Like any other enrollment period, and like it says in the letter, there are forms that need to be filled out today. Can't be done later over the phone. So if you have any questions, just make sure to stop me. Awesome. Then I punch everything in. Okay. Now, AIL is concerned with 3 main areas: accidents, your funeral and final expenses, and your paycheck protection. Now let me ask you, Mark and Beth, if you got injured in an accident, you couldn't go to work, you had to go to the hospital, have you ever thought about what you would do? Okay, well, AIL and the Labor Advisory Board have actually given it a lot of thought, okay? If you get hurt at work, they're not necessarily concerned with if you get hurt at work because you have workers' compensation, and all members have some form of short-term or long-term disability. They also aren't concerned with your medical bills because they know you have Alberta healthcare. However, what they are concerned with is any lost wages. So if you do get hurt on or off the job and you have to go to the hospital, they're concerned with any bills that start to add up. So in that case, what they're going to do is they're going to send you $150. That's for any accident, anytime. Okay. Comes to you directly at home, over and above anything that you would get at work. Now, the only exception to that is if you are injured in an accident and you actually have to stay overnight. What they're going to do is they're going to send you $300 every single night you're in the hospital, up to an entire year. That's per injury again. Okay. Obviously, if something happens to you, Beth, Mark's not going to work, and if heaven forbid something happens to one of the children and they're in the hospital overnight, then both parents aren't working, right? So you just want to make sure that you're compensated. Now, the only exception to that is if you end up in the ICU, okay, they're actually going to cover $600 every night you're in the hospital in the ICU, up to 14 days, okay? If you are there longer than 14 days, then typically it will just revert to the $300 for the duration of your stay. Now, the second area of, does that make sense? Perfect. Now, the second area they're concerned with is your funeral and final expenses. Okay, Mark, Beth, do you know who's going to be taking care of your final expenses when the time comes when something happens to you? Yeah, your children? Perfect. Now, AIL, they're not concerned with whether or not we're going to die, okay, because they all know we're going to, but what they are concerned about is it's a very serious problem, right? Someone in our immediate family does have to face the funeral director right away, okay? Typically in a situation, we're going to pick on you, Mark, okay? You probably drive a lot, okay? You're in your car a lot. If something happens to Mark, Beth, you'll take this. What they've set up is something called freedom of choice. Okay, it's a certificate here. You're both covered for $30,000. It's any cause of death, anytime, no exclusions. Okay, what would happen, Beth? You would take this to the funeral home. They'd say, "I'm sorry for your loss. How do you want to pay today?" Okay, because the funeral directors require the bulk of the money up front before they do anything else, or at least know where the money's coming from. Did you know that? Yeah, okay. So at that point in time, you would take the certificate in, you would flip it over. On the back, you're going to put how much money you want to allot to the funeral home to cover the final expenses, okay? Hand it back to them, and everything's taken care of from that point on, okay? The funeral director makes the phone call, and all the paperwork is taken care of as well. Pretty nice to see how that's already taken care of, hey? Awesome. Now, these do build an emergency fund, okay? If anything ever does, the emergency fund that kicks in after 3 years, if things ever do get tight financially, there will be some money in your plan to help pay for your benefits, okay? There's also a paid up option, which says when you do go to retire, okay, you can actually, your benefits are paid up for your final expenses. However, if you do want to stop contributing into your final expenses beforehand, you take the paid up option and you take the reduced paid up amount. Does that make sense? Perfect. Now, typically, if you do die before age 65, it's in some form of an accident, right? In that case, they're going to send your beneficiaries $230,000 on top of taking care of your final expenses, okay? But what do what's the most common form of accidental death, do you think? Right, car accident. So in that case, they're going to send your beneficiaries $260,000 on top of the $30,000 to take care of all your final expenses. Does that make sense? Awesome. And the last one's your common carrier. Do you guys know what that is? No? Well, that's your buses, planes, or trains, anything that runs on a schedule that you have to purchase a ticket for. Okay, and in that case, they're going to send your beneficiaries $350,000 on top of taking care of your final expenses. Does that part all make sense? Fantastic. Now, the third area of concern is your paycheck protection. Okay, now let's say, Mark, we're going to pick on you again. Let's say you're driving home from work and you die in a car accident, heart attack, or stroke. Okay, what happens, or you die of a heart attack or stroke. Okay, your paycheck vanishes just like that, right? But what still keeps coming in? That's right. The bills, putting food on the table, making sure the house is paid for, all of those still stay the same. Okay, so this is where your paycheck protection comes in. Okay, now let me ask you, you guys do have life insurance, right? Okay. Perfect. Most members do have, $500,000 up to $1 million worth of life insurance. But this is what happens in a typical situation, okay? Something happens to Mark, okay, and you'll have to start dipping into that life insurance policy. First, for reimbursement of your funeral and final expenses, and then second thing, because the bills are still coming in, you have to keep food on the table, the lights on, you're going to keep dipping into that. And eventually what happens? Right? You've either dwindled down that insurance policy. So with this, Mark, if something were to happen to you the month after your death, Beth is going to receive $5,000 every single month for an entire year. And Beth, you're going to get $5,000 every single month for an entire year. This is your readjustment income. Okay, it's set for a year because, let's face it, you need some time to adjust and to get things going again. So this is your readjustment income. Okay. That way you can put aside your other insurance. You can put it for retirement, kids' education fund, anything like that. Does that make sense? Perfect. Now there is a couple of clauses. So there's also a layoff waiver. No, there's also a paid up. There's also a strike clause in here. Okay, it says if the union ever goes on strike, then AIL is actually going to cover the benefits up to an entire year that the person doesn't have to pay back, that you don't have to pay back. Okay, so they're still going to make contributions into your emergency fund and your paid up option, which is really awesome. Okay, there's also a layoff waiver that says if you do get laid off from your job, as long as you've been there the last 12 consecutive months, AIL is going to cover your benefits up to 3 months, again, while you're looking for work, that you don't have to pay back. Okay, and then the last thing here is the benefits are guaranteed. This is the reason why I work from the company. Okay, provided that you guys do qualify here today. Okay, it doesn't matter if your health habits or behaviors change down the road, your benefits are all guaranteed. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you just, you decide to start smoking 20 packs a day, all your benefits are still there that you qualified for. Does that make sense? Awesome. Now that I've showed you what setting aside 2 hours of your weekly wage will do, let me review it to make sure that it's clear. Okay, your accidental injuries are here to be used for any accident. Okay, unlimited. Your freedom of choice covers you, Mark, and you, Beth, for $30,000 for any cause of death, anytime, no matter what, and it's there until it needs to be used. Okay, you have your accidental coverage that's added on top of your final expenses, and your paycheck protection as well as your readjustment income. You have all the protections on the side here to make sure that no matter what happens, you don't lose your benefits moving forward. Okay, now my job, because of what John has done for you, is to help you get enrolled in what you qualify for. Okay, most members like to go with the 2 hours, which is what I showed you. Some members like to set aside more and double their benefits, and some families like to start with a more basic program, knowing that they can always upgrade or add more coverage later on down the road, provided that they still qualify. Which way do you want to go? Okay, cool. You're going to go with what I showed you. Awesome. Now, there are some medical questions that we'll have to get through, okay? But the most important question that I'll probably have to ask you is if Mark and Beth, you both died in a car accident, there will be a little over $450,000. Where do you want that money to go to? Who do you want the beneficiary to be? Cool. I missed a part. D1. Okay, let's go back. My job, now to review it, make sure that it's clear. Number 2, now my job is to help you enroll in what you might qualify for. The best part about it is it works like a payroll deduction. Comes once a month out of your checking account. That way, if you quit, leave, or retire from your job, the benefits are always under your independent control. Okay? Most families like to go with the 2 hours, which is, oh yeah, okay, bam, 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 bam. Medical questions, qualify, fantastic. Which way do you want to go? While you're thinking about it, why don't we go through the medical questions to make sure that you can even qualify? I think I hit it all.